High school sports on the World Wide Web. Every big game on IPSathletics.tv. Football, volleyball, basketball, and much more. Coming this fall, IPSathletics.tv. Let the games begin.
Do you want to hear your favorite team on IndianaSRN.org? It's easy to do, calling all the play-by-play and colored commentary. High school sports along with youth sport, Mr. Wizard is waiting for your call. Contact him at 317-443-0052. We're ready for every touchdown, basket, and goal. Contact Mr. Wizard, 317-443-0052. You're listening to Indiana SRN.
Hello, this is Deb from Indiana SRN, and I'm here to say thank you to our loyal sponsors, schools, coaches, and friends. Your support continues to keep high school athletics on internet radio and webcast. It is our goal to highlight student athletes throughout our great state. We are scheduled to broadcast over 300 games this season, and you can find us broadcasting at high school football stadiums, basketball and volleyball courts, baseball and softball diamonds, next to the wrestling mats, at lacrosse fields, and the soccer pitch. If you would like to know more about how to get your favorite school on radio or webcast, contact us by email at coach@indianasrn.org. Coach has enjoyed his time with you during the Sportszone show. Thank you again, and if you're enjoying this show or would like to sponsor any of our broadcasts, you can contact us via email at coach@indianasrn.org. Thank you again for listening and watching Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game. And don't forget to join us Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern for the Sportszone.
Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.
It's the Sportszone with Keith Myers and the Indiana SRN sports team, made possible by Morales Group, College Hunks and Movers, the IHSAA, and Aspen Creek Grill. Now, let's join Keith and his guests.
It is the Sportszone. Thank you very much for joining us on the hotline. A good friend of ours. We met her during the football state championship 2 years ago, and last year we sat down and we watched the Lutheran Saints miss an extra point or field goal. I think Taylor Bowen-Jones and Taylor, you and I both looked at each other, and that could be something that could come back and haunt him. And sure enough, Lafayette CC came down and scored with about 9 seconds to go in the game to win a state championship. But what a state championship that was!
Oh, I remember where we were standing, and I remember watching, and you were pulling for Lutheran so bad because their story's just so great. And I just remember, maybe next time, that's just the one thing I know that'll probably haunt them forever. But that was a fun game. That was actually a fun little weekend. We had a good time there.
Yeah, and you got to meet Ray Schultz, which was really kind of cool because Ray developed that whole entire school program with them, and we wish him lots of success. And they'll be back. They're going to be really good. And you look at the swing sports; it's been canceled now. The fall sports are really right in front of us as we're looking at the month of May here. A race is not going to happen this month of May, but in August month the racing. But high school sports hopefully comes back pretty strong in the month of August.
Yeah, see, that's what's going to be fun is when everything does come back, it's going to be so full force. If everything is able to return to normal in the fall as we hope and anticipate, there's going to be so much jam packed into one season. It's going to be incredible, and the fans will be more excited than ever. The athletes will be more excited than ever. Of course, so disappointing with the ending. I just think back to when I was in high school. I played in spring in Florida. I played flag football, girls flag football, and it's a Title IX sport there. And I know if my season was cut short, I would have just been devastated. You think about it now as an adult, and you're like, okay, you look back and you're like, they'll get over. You'll forget. In the end, it won't be that big of a deal because you move on and life goes on. But I know in that moment I would have been so devastated, and you just had so many fun things planned, and that's your senior year, a lot of them, and the basketball was just heating up. I was at that Lawrence Central sectional with those incredible games between Warren and LN and LC, and it was, it was great. Attucks and and just for it to end the way that it did, rightfully so. I'm glad, we pulled the trigger when we did and stopped sports, because I think that things could have escalated a lot more had we continued to have big crowds. But just disappointing, man. It stinks.
Yep. Let's talk a little bit about how much do you miss the concession stands at ball games like I do? Because that usually would be my supper, my hot dog, my nachos, my pizza at some places, and I always had to have my popcorn.
Pretzel.
Yeah, there you go. See, there you go. Debbie told me the other day. She goes, "What are you doing?" I'm fixing me a nachos with extra cheese. She goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm getting ready to do my show because." I'm going to go in the office. And she goes, "You're not going to eat that in the office." And, I missed that. When I was at a ball game, I could eat and get messy all I wanted.
It's true. It's funny because I started to make sure on Friday nights, especially not even just football, but in basketball season, that I have cash. Because, I'll come into work around 3 o'clock and I eat around then. But by the time it hits when I'm about to start, filming or shooting a basketball game, I'm hungry.
Yep.
And I make sure, I'm always good for a soft pretzel, a can of Dr. Pepper, and then I come back to the station and probably eat the pizza that's sitting there too. So it's never a healthy Friday night, but that's just the way it works. So I miss those concession stands and and sometimes, peanut M&Ms. You just got to get your fix somehow now. So I don't know where I'm getting a soft pretzel from. I might have to go to Costco or something during this time, but that is true. You bring up a valid point.
There you go. And if Pepsi Cola is listening, we would be happy to have a sponsorship. Taylor could have one. I could have one because she did mention Dr. Pepper. So let's talk a little bit about, I saw on the web that you were lining up all your cups. I noticed there wasn't a Boilermaker cup. What is wrong with that?
All right. So obviously over the years, I think there's probably a lot of people listening to this. If you like sports, you can relate it. You go to events and you collect the plastic cups. Like, they end up coming home with you and you have them forever. I have like a crazy collection of sports cups because they're always at games or events that we cover. And I have most of mine are from my days in Alabama working there. I have a lot of Alabama Crimson Tide cups. Got some Clemson's, the ones you pick up from national championship games. I have a Pacers one, an IMS one, and I don't have any college sports from here, I noticed.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no Boilermaker cup, so I'm going to have to change that.
Okay.
I don't have an IU cup either, which I'm sure would make all Boilermaker fans happy at least. I know I got a lot of flack for that. So, and I don't have a Colts cup. So I got it. That is my mission for this fall when sports returns, is to make sure that I complete this Indiana collection of mine.
I will send you a Purdue cup. I won't send you an IU cup. My wife went to IU, but Boilers are through and through.
Purdue cup.
I will send you a Purdue cup.
I love Purdue. I'm not from here, so I have no dog in the fight. I do not. So I just want to reassure everybody I went to Florida State, so therefore that is my dog in the fight. So really it doesn't cross over very much. But I do love Purdue. I actually enjoy covering them a lot. I think the coaches there are great, especially when it comes to basketball. Love Matt Painter, love what he does there. So I will say I would take a Purdue cup.
Let's talk a little bit about the history with Channel 13 and you.
2018. So, oh gosh, 2008. I'm coming up on 2 years, which is crazy.
Wow.
I know. Summer of 2018, I was in Huntsville, Alabama, and doing the same thing, weekend sports anchor / reporter at the CBS affiliate down there. And it was just time for me to take a new journey. I'd been in Alabama for 5 years, and I wanted to go somewhere new. And this job popped up at WTHR, and I talked to Dave on the phone, and he was awesome, and I knew I'd heard a little bit about him, just that he's a legend here, Dave Calabro. And I applied, and it came up for an interview. I ended up driving up. The funny story was that they weren't going to be interviewing for a couple of weeks. They were kind of taking their time, but I said, you know what? It was like a Tuesday, and I was like, I'll drive up Thursday. I'm off. And my then news director was like, oh, okay, if you want to do that. So I basically made it sure they couldn't say no. So
there you go.
I drove up in 2018. The city was beautiful. I stayed downtown, and actually when I drove up, they were doing yoga on the circle. That was really cool. And it worked out perfectly. And I've been here for almost 2 years now. And I guess I'm the first female sports anchor at the station, which is a really cool feat, I like to think. And I've had a great time. The station is wonderful. The people are great. The response from the community has been incredible. And I have a blast. I'm lucky. I get paid to talk and watch sports.
And you do a great job at what you do. I really appreciate what you do. Every single time we're out and see you, you see our banner, you come up and say hi to our guys. We really appreciate what you do there. Hey, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to finish up this segment, and then I want you to take this little quiz. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Born ready.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll be back after this 2-minute timeout. You're listening to the Sportszone on IndianaSRN, where you're always in the game.
There's no greater anti-poverty measure than to give a person a job. That helps them start to change that trajectory. Thousands of people get jobs here from all of these diverse backgrounds. We're helping write that story of that better future that we know they can get, we know that they deserve.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
Come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
So you called us because you're stressed from all that clutter taking up your space. The best part is we do all the heavy lifting for you, so you can just sit back and relax. Our hunks call at least 20 to 30 minutes prior to your appointment window. You don't need to lift a finger except to point what items you would like us to haul away. Thanks again for choosing College Hunks Hauling Junk, and we look forward to providing you with a stress-free hauling experience.
You're listening to IndianaSRN, God's Word 24/7, and sports.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Indiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Craving comfort fresh food made from scratch daily? Check out Aspen Creek Grill. Located across from Hamilton Town Center and beside the Holiday Inn, we offer family farm-raised premium Black Agnes steaks hand-cut daily, creamy pastas, salmon chicken, and fall-off-the-bone ribs. Start with our famous powwow shrimp appetizer, and don't miss our refreshing drinks. Family-friendly or a great night out with friends. Aspen Creek Grill. Aspen Creek Grill, Noblesville. Call 317-559-3300.
You're listening to IndianaSRN, home for God's Word 24/7 and sports. Back on the Sports Zone with IndianaSRN. Taylor Tannenbaugh joins us from Channel 13, and she's a sports person through and through. I think you probably was born on the field. You love sports, don't you?
I do. I love sports. I was born and raised on it, especially in South Florida. You know, I had season tickets to the Heat, the Dolphins, the Marlins, the Panthers, and so I've been around sports my whole life.
Talk a little bit about your high school career in sports. I know you were a true athlete.
It's funny because I played soccer my whole life, and my parents never put me in travel, though, because my dad worked weekends, so it was kind of too hard to do travel. So I always ended up playing my high school sports. I played high school soccer. I'm not going to lie, I was not always the starter. I rode the bench sometimes. But I was a goalie. I loved playing goalie. That's my favorite position on the field. Unfortunately, I'm only 5'2", so it wasn't always the best. And obviously, my career did not develop after that. And I was also a forward, so I like to rough people up a little bit. And then flag football. Flag football was the best, and we don't really have it here. I feel like in Indiana, it's not most high schools don't have it, but in Florida, it's a Title IX sport. It's fully competitive. There's a state championship. It's a big deal. And we were competitive. We were fierce. And the teams we played, the girls, it was all girls. It was the best. And the dads would come out and watch. It was just great. So high school sports are the best, man. Like that's truly why local sports are so important, because high school sports, just some of the best stories and times that I've had in this job are covering high school sports.
Yeah,
it's so pure.
You bet. You should have invented platforms, cleats. If you had 4 or 5 inch on your platforms, you'd be 5'6". You'd be a better goalie.
I have some bunnies. I have some hops.
Okay, there you go.
So that helped out a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Hey, thanks for spending some time. Are you ready for this quiz?
I think so. I'm nervous.
Okay, here we go. Would you rather watch a marathon of Gilligan's Island or Andy Griffith?
Oh, Gilligan's Island, because I used to watch Gilligan's when I was really young.
Okay, a Burger King sandwich or a Taco Bell taco?
Oh, Taco Bell taco. I'm a Taco Bell queen.
Would you rather spend a day with Barney Fife or Gomer Pyle?
Barney Fife.
You work with a Barney Fife.
Do I?
Oh, yeah, Dave.
Yeah, you're right. I guess I kind of do.
There you go. I know this one for sure because we email back and forth. Email or text?
Text.
Yeah. Cake or a pie?
Pie. I don't actually like cake.
Wow. Last one. Golf or tennis?
Golf.
If you
I playing it tennis, golf, watching it.
If you saw me play golf, you probably would say that would not be good. Taylor,
yeah, queen of the divots.
Yeah, I hate replacing them because I have to replace them more than I play the golf game.
Exactly.
Exactly. Hey, thanks for spending some time with us. We appreciate it, and stay safe out there. And hopefully, we'll see you sometime in the fall. Okay.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to when we can see each other in person at a football game, and it's going to be great.
Yep. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more guests. You're listening to the Sportszone on IndianaSRN.
Piper Group Warehouse has a strong commitment to their clients as their logistics provider. If you would like to discover how you can improve your service levels while lowering your overall cost, Piper Logistics Group can help. Call Greg Piper today at 317-396-3916. Piper Logistics Group. At Auto Express, we offer friendly customer service, exceptional work, and fair pricing. Customer loyalty and confidence are important to us. When our customers have questions, we are ready with answers. We're open weekdays 8 to 6 and Saturday 8 to 3. Come visit Auto Express at 9065 East Pendleton Pike, just east of Post Road, or call 317-897-6618. Auto Express, we're here for your auto repair and maintenance needs.
Do you want to hear your favorite team on IndianaSRN.org? It's easy to do, calling all the play-by-play and colored commentary. High school sports along with youth sport, Mr. Wizard is waiting for your call. Contact him at 317-443-0052. We're ready for every touchdown, basket, and goal. Contact Mr. Wizard, 317-443-0052. You're listening to IndianaSRN.org. It is the Sports Zone on IndianaSRN. On the hotline now, a good friend of ours and works for the Indianapolis Indians, also works for IndianaSRN, as he's our wrestling analyst and play-by-play guy. Shane Ryder joins us. And Shane has a background in wrestling because Iowa is a big location for wrestling, and that's what you did in Iowa.
Yeah, grew up in a wrestling family. If you're born and raised in the state of Iowa, there's about a 98% chance that you're going to wear a wrestling singlet at some point in your life. In our family, my dad grew up in a family of 15. He had 8 sisters and 6 brothers along with himself, and all of the boys wrestled. None of the girls did wrestle. That was before girls started to get involved in wrestling like they are today. But they all wrestled. All of their kids wrestled. Now, my oldest brother that's got a 6 or 7-year-old now, he's into wrestling, and it's in our blood. And like I said, if you're from the state of Iowa, it's just what you know. It's like if you're from Indiana, you're picking up a basketball likely at a very young age, and we did the same in wrestling, or in Iowa with the sport of wrestling. So yeah, I just grew up around the sport, played other sports growing up as well, soccer, baseball, football. But when I got to the University of Iowa, after playing a couple of sports at a JUCO level for my first 2 years of college, I was able to get on with the student-run radio station there on campus. They were just kind of getting their feet wet into Big Ten athletics and being able to call play-by-play for football and men's and women's basketball and things like that on campus in my last year when I was a Hawkeye. So my last semester was a good way to go out. When I was finishing up college, I was able to call a lot of Big Ten football games for the Hawks, travel to Ohio State, Minnesota, Nebraska, Purdue, in addition to doing some home games at Kinnick. But right when I was graduating, there was really no one on our student staff that had the wrestling knowledge and background that I did. And so I was basically thrown into, hey, do you want to do these Big Ten meets? And I was all in. I was all for it, just like I am now with IndianaSRN, and was able to call a couple of Big Ten meets that winter before I graduated. They actually even brought me back for 2 other meets after I had graduated, just to call those meets, because they were big meets. I think one of them was the Iowa, Minnesota, 2 top 5 teams back then, and honestly still today. And then another one was Iowa, Penn State. So when you get a chance to call meets like that, you're not going to pass that up. So I did that at Iowa, and then I actually did some high school wrestling as well in the state of Iowa before I let my career in minor league baseball take me where it has. So before I moved to Reno, Nevada, to work for a AAA baseball team out there before coming here to India in 2017. This would have been 2015, February 2015. I did the state championships for a station close to my hometown where I grew up in Northeast Iowa, but we basically covered about 10 schools from the Northeast Iowa region that had individual wrestlers down at the state tournament, and I was bouncing between 1A, 2A, 3A. The structure is a little different in the state of Iowa for high school wrestling as opposed to Indiana, where there's just one class. So you've got wrestlers from many different schools coming out, and then one class wraps up and another class is rolling right into their session. So it's very fast-paced, but it's a sport that if you're involved with it at a very young age, or even if you catch on to it, you know, when you're getting into high school or even after high school and you're thinking about your kids getting involved in athletics, wrestling is a great sport to get involved in. The weight cutting isn't what it used to be. It's not as drastic as it used to be. Even before I wrestled, it used to be pretty extreme. Now kids are managing their weight better. Health is much more important with these wrestlers and wrestling at their full strength. And it just instills a lot of good values in you that you can apply, you know, post-athletic career and when you get into the workforce.
You know, you talked a little bit about IndianaSRN as it was our second year covering wrestling, and you and Joe Hansen did a great job covering that. We had some great matches, got to go to sectional, regional, a little bit of semi-state action, and it was a thrill, and I know we're going to expand that coverage. Talk a little bit about the love of wrestling and now baseball, because I know you have a love of baseball. You and Sean talk about baseball all the time. Sean Craw, one of our baseball guys, and baseball, you just fell in love with baseball and you love the Iowa Cubs.
Yeah, baseball is definitely my number one. You know, as much as I just talked about the sport of wrestling, baseball has had my heart since I was able to pick up a baseball and play catch with my 2 older brothers. I can remember back to when I was 6 or 7 years old, getting home from school, you know, kindergarten, first grade, and getting off the school bus. My grandparents lived a half mile down the road. I grew up in rural Iowa. I was a country boy. I was a farm kid and wasn't old enough at the time to drive the four-wheeler down to my grandparents' house, so I would just run through the corner of the bean field, whatever crop was in the field that year. I would run through the field, get down there. It'd be about 3 p.m. A lot of Chicago Cubs games, you know, they had those early afternoon starts for 1:20 first pitches a lot of times. I would run down to my grandparents' house because they had cable. We did not at my house. So I would catch the last few innings there. Every time I got down there, my grandma and grandpa would have the sports section from previous days' newspapers saved and just held in the living room for me. So I would just open those newspapers up, lay them out on the floor, read through box scores. And again, I was doing this when I was 6 or 7. I think it came to mind probably during about a middle school project, when you start to do some of those projects in school that ask you what you want to be when you're older. You know, you have the really, really young ones. I'm sure I said I wanted to be a professional athlete. Once I realized my growth spurt was over in 8th grade, then that went out the window. So what was the next best opportunity? Well, I want to work in sports, and I want to call play-by-play for baseball if I can. So that fortunately panned out for me. My first 2 years working in minor league baseball, I was calling games. Gave that up in 2015 when I moved out to Reno and went all in on media relations and communications. So you still get that one-on-one interaction with players and coaches that I really enjoy, just from playing sports and knowing what those environments are like, working with players and coaches. And so this job allows me to do that. There have been a few times where I've been able to call games for the Indians here in Indianapolis. I had a few opportunities out in Reno as well to fill in, but that's really where I'm at this point in my career for calling games in baseball. I'm just a fill-in guy. They know they can trust me if someone's sick or someone's out or someone needs to step away from the mic for a day or two, that they can slot me in and be comfortable with me on the mic. But, you know, being able to do these wrestling meets and matches with IndianaSRN has been really fun for me. It's fun to get back on the mic and kind of work on your calls again and remind you why you got into sports in the first place. And IndianaSRN has afforded me that opportunity.
You know, the best thing I liked about it is when me and Joe were paired up through a lot of these events. I love the production meetings, the input that you guys had. Jerry did a great job producing those things, and the wrestling has really took off for us. As you know, thousands upon thousands of people listen to those matches and watch those matches. They can still watch those matches on YouTube. It was incredible, and the response that people had toward us, almost like little celebrities, but it's something that we feel like we need to put wrestling on the map in the state of Indiana. And you and Joe have done a great job doing that, and we appreciate those efforts that you guys have done.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, that support is going to continue to grow so long as you have people that are passionate about the sport. And, you know my passion, but having someone like Joe that I could lean on and that you can lean on, and Jerry, you know, we've got the confidence in him that he knows the sport inside and out, and he knows the history of the sport in Indiana in particular. So where I'm coming in with just a general knowledge of the sport of wrestling, but not with the in-depth knowledge that he had, you know, on family members that had success with previous state champions, or you name it. Joe pretty much knows it if it was wrestling and it happened in Indiana, whether it's at the high school or collegiate level. But when you've got a couple of guys like us that are passionate about the sport, I think that feeds off to you and Jerry, and then that feeds off to our listeners and our viewers as well, that, hey, if this crew really cares about their production and their broadcast for these meets and these tournaments that they're covering, trying to grow the sport of wrestling in the state of Indiana, and why wouldn't we be excited about it as well? So that goes with any broadcast that you watch. If the broadcasters don't feel like they're interested in it, and you watching it, you're probably not going to care much either.
Talk a little bit about, do you get into any of the WWE stuff, WrestleMania, all of those things, or is it strictly or amateur for you?
It's strictly amateur for me. It would have been the grandparents that I would run down to their house to watch baseball with. Those were my dad's parents. My mom's dad, who passed a few years ago, he would watch the WWE type of stuff, WWF, Stone Cold Steve Austin, you name it. He would have that on when I would get off of school. So when I was in elementary school, if I didn't ride home on the school bus to my dad's house, and if my parents were split, so if it was my mom's night to watch me or if it was my turn to stay at her place on the weekend, a lot of times she wouldn't be off work yet when I was getting off at school, so I would go to my Grandpa Zay's house. It was my mom's dad, and he would have the WWE or WWF type of stuff on. But anytime I came through the door, if I knocked on the door and he'd come and answer, he knew that baseball needed to be on the TV, that he would immediately, and he wouldn't find it. He would immediately go and put the Cubs on or whatever baseball game he could find. He would put on, and he was just like my dad's parents as well, that, you know, he'd save the papers for me, and they just knew I was a stat nerd when I was a kid, and it continued up to like close to my 30s now. So it's just funny how that's all worked out.
Yeah, that's
from being passionate about that when I was very young and still am today.
That's hilarious. Hey, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more with Shane Ryder, and just stay with us. It is the Indiana SRN and Sportszone. More after this timeout. Looking for some home repair? Maybe new drywall, some painting? Give our friends a call at Amazing Drywall, 317-339-2672. Tim Seats has been in business for 5 years, a Christian man. Give him a call. Amazing Drywall, 317-339-2672. It's Amazing Drywall. They're proud sponsors of Indiana SRN and God's Word 24/7. Amazing Drywall.
So you called us because you're stressed from all that clutter taking up your space. The best part is we do all the heavy lifting for you, so you can just sit back and relax. Our hunks call at least 20 to 30 minutes prior to your appointment window. You don't need to lift a finger except to point what items you would like us to haul away. Thanks again for choosing College Hunks Hauling Junk, and we look forward to providing you with a stress-free hauling experience.
Hey, Derek here. Please give me just a few seconds to explain why I can help you better than anyone else, guaranteed. I create for you a super fast and responsive client-grabbing website that increases customer acquisition by almost 300%. Your new website will honestly value at over $2,000, and you will get it for a huge and ridiculous discount if you act right now. Contact me today. Let's build something great together.
Contact Derek at PCProsLLC.com.
Welcome to Corin's Manufactured Homes, family owned and operated since 1955, located at 9622 Pendleton Pike in Indianapolis. We invite you to take a look at our manufactured homes and all of our wonderful Indianapolis communities by visiting our website, Corin Homes, CORNHOMES.com, and clicking on the community of your interest, CorinHomes.com, or call today at 317-897-1043. Corin's Manufactured Homes.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, God's Word 24/7, and sports. Back on the Sports Zone on Indiana SRN, Shane Ryder joins us. You know, Shane, last year we got to do a little bit of the Indianapolis Indians pre-games, and then we got to go to Victor Field and got to meet with you, and you got to meet with Sean and myself, and we got to know each other, and you joined the SRN crew. What is one of maybe the fondest memories that you've had at your early stay with Indiana SRN?
Oh, outside of you guys setting up, with your pregame show on the concourse and having some of our players and coaches on for your broadcast, and we love how baseball focused they are in the summer, because that's the audience, obviously, that we want to attract, and to have our players and coaches go on your show and relay their stories and their messages and how their seasons are going over the airwaves on your station and on your channels. Huge for us. But I would say one of my favorite memories, probably the day that we had the media VP and Sean stepped in the batter's box. I know that there were rumblings that he might have gone on the injured list, whether it was the 7, 10, or 15-day injured list, I'm not sure. But seeing you guys just enjoy yourselves on the field and interact with other media members around town and, just enjoy some time, and not a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but, a rare opportunity for media members to step between the lines, because they're always focused on catching players when they're off the field. You guys don't get that on-field interaction. Not that our players were out there during our media VP last summer, but you guys, just get to enjoy yourselves, play catch with each other. A lot of media members brought their kids and their wives or their girlfriends out as well, and that's what we want. We just wanted it to be a relaxing day. Honestly, I really look forward to the next time we can do that again with you guys and with everyone else in town. When this pandemic clears and we get to go, that baseball can happen again in Victory Field. Media Day is at or near the top of my list to host again this summer if the public health and this whole situation allows us. So keep that on your radar. I can't give you a date, on when that would happen. I'd like to say next week, but the way it's going, we're looking at May, June, July. Whenever we get a chance to make that happen, we'll try and get you guys out again this summer. And if it's not this summer, earliest as possible.
You know, I think Sean was on a 30-day in-free list. He was black and blue forever. And Brent also, if you remember, Brent sprained his ankle.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was the only one that was safe because I was shagging balls and eating sandwiches. I mean, I knew exactly where I needed to be. I needed to be in the hospitality room.
Hey, you just got to know your role sometimes and know your limits. And you hung out by the pitching machine. You shagged balls, you caught balls, and filled the bins up for us. And then, you knew where the hospitality tables were at. So if you needed a drink or a hot dog or a burger, you knew where to go. Those guys were all about trying to get back to their glory days.
Exactly.
A little bit, I think.
There you go.
You know, and they're not what they used to be. The bodies aren't as nimble as they once were. And, you just got to know your limits. So whether that's stepping in the cage and taking a couple hacks or like Sean, I think he took 15, 20 hacks every round. And that's going to take its toll on the body.
Give me an Artie's pizza, a Coke, and the cool air conditioner. It was 82 degrees that day. I knew what I was doing. It's time for your quiz. Are you ready?
Yeah. Yep.
Spend all day watching Gilligan's Island or watching Andy Griffith?
Andy Griffith.
Movie or a good book?
Movie.
Bacon or Link sausages?
Bacon all the way.
Pizza or Subway sandwich?
Probably pizza.
Popcorn or pretzels?
Popcorn.
Ice cream or frozen yogurt?
Ice cream.
There you go. Pretty harmless. Shane, thanks so much. We're looking forward to hooking you up again. I can't wait. I know this. We're chomping at the bit, and we know that everything will work out well. And thank you for your time. And you know, football season's coming upon in August. You know, maybe we'd call you out of bullpen, and maybe you could do some football games for us too.
Hey, I can do whatever. I'm a jack of all trades. If you throw me on like swimming or volleyball, or if you're doing something like that, then we're probably working. It's gonna be a little tricky. But if you give me football or basketball, I can swing those.
I'll keep you away from swimming, and I'll keep you away from volleyball. I promise.
Thank you.
Shane Ryder joins us. We'll take a break. We'll come back right after this. You're listening to IndianaSRN, and it's the Sports Zone. Do you want to hear your favorite team on IndianaSRN.org? It's easy to do, calling all the play-by-play and colored commentary. High school sports along with youth sport, Mr. Wizard is waiting for your call. Contact him at 317-443-0052. We're ready for every touchdown, basket, and goal. Contact Mr. Wizard, 317-443-0052.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Indiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Having an electrical problem? Bertner Electric has your solution. We provide professional, residential, and commercial electrical contractor services to Indianapolis and surrounding communities. With more than 30 years of experience, we have a reputation for safety, excellence, and competitive pricing. We are fully licensed, bonded, and insured for your protection. Electrical work can be shocking, so leave that problem to the pros at Bertner Electric. Call for a free estimate, 317-773-7663.
You're listening to IndianaSRN.org. Hey everybody, it's Coach from IndianaSRN. Don't forget to listen to Sportszone every day right here, 11 to 12 noon Eastern. IndianaSRN, where you're always in the game. Well, it is Sports Zone, and our last guest of the day is Pete Huber, the athletic director at Southport High School. Not much athletic directing things to do lately, but I know you still keep busy and you got to finish up the school year. And you gave us an announcement that kind of shocks me.
Yes, I announced that after 19 years at Southport High School, I'll be retiring at the end of the school year as of June 30th. I do that with a very heavy heart. That's been my home for 19 years, and it's a great school system with a lot of terrific leaders in place, and just a great community and alumni that's unbelievable. And it's awfully hard to walk away from such a great situation as that. But, you get to a time in your life where, you got to think about those things. And I feel pretty good about, leaving it. I'm going to leave it in great hands. And it's program itself, I feel, is in great shape, and great student athletes, good coaches, everybody in place to move it forward without me.
19 years of those years, we've known each other for at least 10 of those years. And as IndianaSRN, I think we're approaching our 5th or 6th year with you guys. But I worked for you as an official. I worked with you behind the scenes a couple of times, and then you hired IndianaSRN, and it's been a really great partnership with us. And you've been a great friend, and we'll very much support you. And anytime you want to come into the booth to take Steve's place or those guys, you can't take my place though, Pete. You might have to work with me, but you're always welcome.
Well, I certainly appreciate that. I've cherished the partnership and the relationships through the years that we've developed. It's been awesome.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about 19 years. When you got there 19 years ago, did you ever dream that how successful that the sports program was? I mean, it was successful then, but you groomed it, and you made one thing that I thought was really kind of cool. Everything was together. You were a team. Talk about that structure and how that mindset set at an early stage.
Well, my whole philosophy was to come in and basically, as an athletic director, I felt like, I'm the go-to guy. I'm working for the coaches and the kids. And, as far as organizing equipment needs and uniform needs, whatever the coaches needed to make their program successful. And that was going to have the immediate impact to the student athletes. And that's where I'm all about. And the coaches all bought in. They all knew from day one. I didn't care if you were a football coach or a lacrosse coach or a golf coach. Everybody was going to be treated the same. And, that's always been my philosophy. Sports has been my whole entire life as an athlete, myself as a kid. And I just know, those that cared about me, what that did for me in my life growing up, and eventually getting into education and having the opportunity to coach and teach and coach, and then get into administration as an athletic director. That was my main goal, was to put things in place that's going to benefit everybody. And I think for the most part, I think everybody understood that. And, you hear today sometimes, well, I should get more because I bring in more money for the athletic department or blah, blah, blah. But I honestly think if you talk to our coaches, they would say, he didn't care about that part. Obviously, it's important to have, income coming in as gate receipts and those kinds of things to help fund your program. But I wanted everybody to feel the same. I wanted everybody to feel like they were important in what they did, because they saw those student athletes and were working with them every day. And I wanted to do my part as the athletic director to make them all feel like they had the best program in the state. And that was my goal.
We talked with Brandon Winters a couple of weeks ago, and also Kyle Simpson. And one of the things they said is when we walked in the door, you treated that like we were your family, but they saw the benefit of that growing the alumni, because a lot of people paid attention to IndianaSRN, but you were the center cog of that, because one of the things that you stressed to us right away is this is for our fans, but it has really worked, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I'm so glad it has. It's grown tremendously. And we're all the same. And you know our alumni basis in our community is awesome.
Yes.
And again, the coaches saw, what we were trying to do for them and their program. And again, you used a key word there, family. I felt like, we were a pretty tight-knit family as an athletic department. Obviously, your athletic director is going to have a lot of input on, who's going to stand in front of those student athletes. And I think overall, we had a tremendous coaching staff that bought into everything we were doing. And we can get that message out with SRN. That was tremendous.
Let's talk a little bit about the facility that you played basketball in. I get to referee there as a referee, of course, broadcast there now. The popcorn is probably the best popcorn on the south side of Indianapolis. The Perry Meridian fans will probably yell at me, but talk a little bit about the structure and the volunteers, because your job was to coordinate all of those things. But on game day, you had key volunteers doing key things, and that's really important to have that base. And again, a lot of those people are alumni, but you go to the hospitality room, to every single concessionaire of every big game that you played at that field house, you had people there to support Southport High School.
That is a key. That's a huge key, I think, to success in any program at all, especially in athletics. There's so many things, as you well know, that go on behind the scenes with special people all buying in that family philosophy. Hey, we're doing this for our student athletes. And the booster club that I work so close with, the adult booster club at Southport High School, you're right, they're all volunteers, and we're all working together to find ways to make that experience for our student athletes tremendous. And they put so many hours in. Oh my goodness. I just can't tell you. Without such a group of people like that, your program would take a huge financial hit of all the things that we put in place. And, the field house seating 7,100. Obviously, we're going to host a lot of events, and we're going to probably be open for more of those events than most common high school gymnasiums. We felt like, we were the center. In our opinion, the historic field house it's iconic. So we're gonna fix that place up, showcase it. That's going to help showcase Southport High School. But to do all of that, it takes a special group of people, and we've got them. Everybody buys in because it's all about Southport High School, not just our athletic department. It's in our student athletes.
Before we take our break, Pete, one of the things that brings back memories to me is the idea that we wanted to do wrestling and we wanted to do the sectional there. And when I put that across the table, you were the first athletic director to say, hey, count us in. What can we do to help you? Boy, there was some bumps in the road, but we got it done. And then now I think it was our third year doing that sectional. It's been a lot of fun here. Put that together.
Well, I appreciate that. We're going to do whatever we can to make your experience and anybody that comes into Southport High School and the field house in particular, we're going to do our part in helping you become successful. If and I know you guys did a tremendous job. It was awesome watching things take place in that sectional itself. But we're going to do our part, because if we can help you become successful and get the good word out, my gosh, the whole operation is going to be top notch. And that's, I think me well enough to know that, I'm going to do everything I possibly can for everything to be very positive and showcase what we've got, because I think it has a huge reflection on our community, our high school, our athletic department, and it's all about our student athletes.
You bet. We're going to take a 2-minute break. When we come back, a lot more with Pete Hubert, the athletic director of Southport High School. We'll be back after this timeout.
There's no greater anti-poverty measure than to give a person a job. That helps them start to change that trajectory. Thousands of people get jobs here from all of of these diverse backgrounds. We're helping write that story of that better future that we know they can get, we know that they deserve.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
Come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
So you called us because you're stressed from all that clutter taking up your space. The best part is we do all the heavy lifting for you, so you can just sit back and relax. Our hunks call at least 20 to 30 minutes prior to your appointment window. You don't need to lift a finger except to point what items you would like us to haul away. Thanks again for choosing College Hunks Hauling Junk, and we look forward to providing you with a stress-free hauling experience.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, God's Word 24/7, and sports.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Indiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Craving comfort fresh food made from scratch daily? Check out Aspen Creek Grill. Located across from Hamilton Town Center and beside the Holiday Inn, we offer family farm-raised premium black Agnes steaks hand-cut daily, creamy pastas, salmon chicken, and fall-off-the-bone ribs. Start with our famous powwow shrimp appetizer, and don't miss our refreshing drinks. Family-friendly or a great night out with friends. Aspen Creek Grill. Aspen Creek Grill, Noblesville. Call 317-559-3300.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, home for God's Word 24/7 and sports. It is the Sportszone show. Pete Huber joins us. Pete, as we wrap this thing up, there's so many thank yous I'm sure that you have to say to people. So you have about 45 seconds. Key people who made the life difference from you, not only at Southport, but maybe when you first started being involved in athletics.
Well, I want to thank all of those that I've had the privilege to work with and work for. In the administration, the teaching staffs that have all helped throughout working events and so forth, the communities. Our coaches, our student athletes. I'm only hoping as I can reflect back on my last 17 years as the AD at Southport, our student athletes and student alumni can think of, a positive thing or two that, maybe we were able to do that changed their life and give them a jump start in the real game of life of what they're out there doing now as a young adult. That's the key right there is doing everything that we can do to give back to jumpstart our youth today and give them that positive opportunity to, go into college or their trade or their future and reflect back that work ethic, all of those fine things that, coaches teach them and some of the things that we have in place as an athletic department that jump starts their life, and it's all positive. Yes, they might have to sweat a little bit, work a little bit, but everything, when they reflect back upon those high school days, they can say, hey, that was one of the most positive experiences that I ever had in my life, and it jump starts them as a young adult.
I just want to thank you for spending time with me. I thank you for 5 or 6 years ago sitting in your office along with Jerry Collins, shaking your hand and knowing that we were going to be part of your program. It's been a thrill to get to know you. Don't be strangers. You can have the booth anytime you want. Are you ready for this little fantastic quiz we have?
I can sure try.
Okay, here we go. Ice cream or frozen yogurt? What do you like the best?
Ice cream.
Popcorn or pretzels?
I would say popcorn.
Especially at Southport High School, extra butter. It's really good. Pizza or Subway sandwich?
Oh, I'm pizza.
Bacon or Link sausages?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm going to take sausage.
Okay, last one. Do you want to spend a day with Barney Fife, Gomer Pyle, or Keith Myers?
Oh, Keith. That's not even a comparison. You are the man.
Too bad it wasn't on the list. It was only Marty Piper going part of, but I felt pretty liberty to say that to you. Hey, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you. You stay in touch.
You need anything, let us know.
I certainly will. Thanks so much for everything.
You bet. That wraps it up for us this week. We thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next week on Indiana SRN and the Sports Zone from 11 to 12 noon Eastern right here on Indiana SRN.